you. We're going to get a little deeper into data science with my friend Gilad Barash, here to talk more about data science. He's senior data scientist at Dstillery, and he just came back from a wild weekend in wild Washington, D.C. So he must be a little tired. He's been with Dstillery for over 3 years now. And before that, he had some different nerdy roles at HP, correct? So let's talk about data science.
All right, so what I want to talk to you about today is how to use, or how we've used data science to align the impact of creative on different populations that we target ads to and that we serve ads to. And so, I guess I should use this. It's not going to flip on its own. All right, so, you know, we're in the digital ad space. We show ads to people. And when we do that, what we kind of want to do, ideally, we would like to be able to measure the incremental impact of our advertising, right? If it's an insurance company, we want to be able to see that people are buying more insurance. If it's a CPG company, we want to see that they're buying more of our product. But that's something that is really hard to measure in the real world. And so we end up having to measure things that are proxies for what we really, really want to see. And so we come up with all these different proxies like click-through rate and viewability and CPA, right? Cost per action, or ROI, and all of these things that we kind of bastardize the language to sort of fit it into something that we can say that we can measure, and this is sort of a proxy for what we really want, and we can look at that, but it's not what we actually really want. And what we wonder when we're doing this is, how does the creative affect the performance of our ad campaign? Does it matter? Does it make a difference which creative we're showing, what the messages that we're saying, or are we just trying to target these people with whatever we can and hope for the best? And so can we, beyond the fact that we try to optimize the campaign, we try to optimize the frequency by which we show ads, we try to optimize maybe, if we're doing some kind of geo-targeting, or if we're trying to find different audiences, we know that our product is, maybe our idea is that it's a certain demographic. So we try to optimize for all of these things, but can we also try to optimize the actual message and the actual creative that we are showing them? And so that's something that we tried to do. And we paired with Chobani, which is a yogurt manufacturer. And these questions are especially relevant in the CPG space, right? Where you don't necessarily have a brick and mortar store to drive people to. They buy it in the grocery store. And if they do actually go to the grocery store, you don't necessarily know that they've bought your product. So the questions that Chobani wanted to know and that we worked with them on was, first of all, do online display ads drive purchase of yogurt in store? So can we actually measure the actual incremental impact that they're trying to achieve? And then does this impact vary across different creatives that they have, because they have different types of messages that they want to try? And then which micro audiences are impacted the most? So, you want to show this to millennials, you want to show it to soccer moms, you want to show it to techies, or all these different types of audiences that they may try to show it to. Do they all react the same to the same creative? Or the most successful creative, are they the same across these micro audiences? Or can we tailor the creative to the audience? And so let's talk a little bit about the data that we have. So what is our measurable universe? What did we look at? So we partnered with Kantar Shopcom and with LiveRamp in order to get at the data. And what we got is, Kantar Shopcom, when you go to the store and you buy something and you use a loyalty card, they make a note of what you've purchased, and then they have data about you. They've got your address, your email, different information about you. And so we partnered with Kantar Shopcom, where purchasers that use their loyalty cards, that information then got transferred to LiveRamp, and LiveRamp anonymized this data, and what LiveRamp can do is actually connect that information, your personal information, to cookies on your laptop and on your desktop. And so we ended up getting those cookies, and that's the sort of universe that we work with. So from that personal information and the shopping and the purchase information that we have about what you bought, that got anonymized into cookies. And then those cookies were sent to us, and then we did our magic with those cookies. And we're able to look and see what your online behavior was and a little bit of your offline behavior, and then match it back to that purchase behavior. So now for the first time, we have this full feedback loop of saying we can actually go from the incremental impact of what we're trying to measure, the actual purchasing, to looking at the ads that we've shown you because we track your cookies and we know where you're browsing. So let's talk a little bit about how Chobani positions its brand. So what they wanted, they had a few different creatives that they wanted to test. They had a few different messages, and a few different approaches of how to get at the customer. So they had a self-improvement message, which was all about take a break and come back better. They had a snack message, which they said, meet your new favorite afternoon snack. They had a passion message that was delicious Greek yogurt and exciting toppings. You know, sounds very passionate. They also had a delicious message, which was just dive into deliciousness. And they also had sort of a natural message saying enjoy only natural ingredients. And so you can see, you know, these are different approaches to trying to get that message home. Additionally, I just want to add that they also had different images for each of these creatives. And when we, you know, we try to see to analyze the difference in impact for each of these messages, we also analyze the difference in impact for each of the images, actually the combinations of images and messages. And we found that the images in this case actually didn't really have a lot of effect. But we did see that there was a difference in impact between these different messages. So let's talk a little bit about the experiment that we did. So now what we said, on one hand, we had all of these people that go shopping at the grocery store and they use their loyalty card, so we know exactly what they bought. And we had all of those different creative messages that we wanted to test on them. And so we set up a system and that showed those different messages to random people in our pool. We also had a subsegment of people that we showed a public service announcement to, just a PSA, i.e. these are people that did not see any of the ads. And so these were basically our baseline to which we compared the performance or the shopping habits of the people that did see any of those ads. Right, and so ideally what we want to do is we'll show somebody an ad and see how that influences their shopping behavior versus people that did not see an ad. And so let's talk a little bit about results. So what we saw, first of all, is that the right brand message can drive huge impact. We saw that ultimately digital advertising works and has an effect of the people. And this is looking at the best performing creative, the best performing message. In our case was the delicious Greek yogurt with exciting toppings, the passion, right? And it was the one that seemed to perform the best overall in the universe of people that we measured. And what we saw was that among the entire pool of grocery shoppers, anybody that went to that grocery store and used their loyalty card, whether they had bought Chobani yogurt in the past or not, there was a 20% increase in lift with that best message, i.e. that compared to the people that just saw a PSA and were not shown any ad, 20% more people bought Chobani yogurt because they saw the ad. And then looking at people that had previously bought Chobani, right, because we have their purchase history, we saw that among those people, there was a 60% lift with this message, right? So from a retargeting standpoint, looking at people that had bought and were interested, and we know that they have a brand affinity, and we know that they're interested in that brand because they've bought it before, that was even more impactful, showing them those ads. So that's great. So like I said, I mean, first of all, that shows us that digital advertising works. But now the second question was, do different creatives have different effect on different types of people and different types of audiences? And so one of the things that we can do is look at which brand message resonates with each of these target audiences. Now, I mentioned before that we at Dstillery, we get the cookies from LiveRamp, right? After they've been anonymized, and now we get these cookies. These are your basically your online web behavior cookies. Using a technology that we have that we call the crosswalk, what we do is we can match those cookies to mobile devices, whether it be your smartphone, your tablet, etc. And by utilizing, doing IP matching and looking at shared IP addresses between the cookies and the mobile devices, we're able to match a cookie to the mobile devices that are associated with it. And so then, you know, we can track where those mobile devices have been. Utilizing some geolocation technologies that we have, we can then know where those devices have been to. And so we looked at a few different types of locations that for audiences. For example, gym enthusiasts. That audience is comprised of people that have visited gyms. We have gyms mapped out in our geodatabases, and then we can track where these devices that are associated with the cookies of the Kantar Shopcom shoppers, where they've been, whether they've been to gyms or not. We can look at, and we looked at quick service restaurant customers and see people that have visited, you know, that are fast food eaters. People that are grocery store shoppers, right? And this is nothing to do with the loyalty card. This is just the fact that they went to a grocery store. And retail shoppers. So utilizing these different technologies, we're able to come up with these different audiences that are now merging that physical and the digital behavior. We have the cookies and we see the online web behavior, but then we also have the offline location behavior of where they went. And so what we found was really interesting. For example, we found that convenience eaters responded to the delicious message the most. And so you see here on your left is the delicious message, right? And what you're looking at is at those graphs. Those are 3 different fast food restaurants that we looked at. We've got Subway, Quiznos, and McDonald's. And at the bottom, you see the different data series are the different messages. And so you can see that in all 3 of them, the delicious, which is the blue or the teal, was the one that resonated the most among that audience. It's very interesting. And then let's look at something else, like a different kind of audience. So we looked at gym goers, and we looked at Equinox, Gold Gym, and Crunch. And it seemed that for these more health-conscious customers, the message that resonated the most was the self-improvement message, right? The take a break and come back better. We could see that there is a pattern emerging as far as the impact of different creatives on these different micro audiences that we target. Another interesting one that we looked at was YMCA visitors. They showed a distinctly different pattern. When you think about it, first of all, you see that, you know, let's compare. YMCA has a gym, right? Usually pools and gyms, but it's also more family oriented. They've got youth activities, etc. And when you look and you compare the creative impact of what we call the gym rats versus something that's family and gym rats, we saw an interesting difference between them. Whereas for the health conscious gym rat population, we saw that the self-improvement was the one that was most important. And if you remember in the QSR, in the fast food industry, it was the delicious message. We actually saw that at the YMCA, we had a combination of both. Both the self-improvement and the delicious message were ones that had the highest impact. So you see that even those nuances within the micro audiences, we're seeing the difference in the impact. So to summarize, what we've done here is, first of all, is utilize multiple data points: digital, media, customer information, purchase information. And it was used to measure the impact of different creatives and provide insight into those different micro audiences and their preferences. And we saw beyond a strong signal showing that, you know, digital advertising works, but that it's also worth looking at who it is that you're serving those ads to. Not only optimizing for the campaign performance, but also looking at the different micro audiences. It matters who you're serving what to. And having better insight into your audiences and what creative you're showing them can actually have a big impact on the performance of what you ultimately want to measure. That's it. Thank you.
Running behind, and then he's going to be around during lunch.
First of all, in terms of the measurable universe, we had, I think, about 5 million people, and we were serving ads to. I don't remember exactly the frequency of it. I think it was up to around 5 times. It was multiple ads that they saw. We got the data. The flight of the campaign was about 2 weeks, so it was over 2 weeks that they saw those ads multiple times. 2 weeks after that, I believe. All right, thank you.